Thank you for joining us on this podcast here for Sacred Hoops Basketball. We are privileged and honored for this podcast to be joined by Amanda Carlow. First of all, thanks, Amanda, for taking time out. I know you're really busy with school and counseling and 2 kids at home, homeschooling, and everything else. So thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to spend time with us today.
It's a pleasure.
So let's talk about that. We kind of touched on at the beginning. You are the mother of Ryan Carlow, a senior from Red Cloud. Their season came to an end against Madison in the Sweet 16. First of all, let's go back. Some people don't know this. Ryan was injured towards the end of that season and things like that with a broken foot, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, actually it was January 4th, the first time they played Madison, when he actually injured his ankle, and come to find out through different x-rays and MRIs and ortho referrals that a piece of his bone in his ankle actually broke off and was grinding back and forth. And so we had a long talk about whether he is going to keep playing, and he's just the fighter, and he didn't want to end his season. He didn't want to not be on the court with his teammates, and he fought through the pain and, finished out his season, kind of just dug down and gave it all he could at the end there.
So his season came to an end in the Sweet 16. He had surgery at the end of the year. How did surgery go? How's recovery going for him?
Surgery went really good. They weren't able to put the bone back in with the screw just from all the grinding. They said it wasn't going to last, and so they shaved out the area, and they're hoping cartilage will fill it in. And his recovery is on with social distancing and quarantining. We haven't really gone anywhere anyways, and nothing's been happening, so it wasn't too hard for him to be able to stay home and, follow doctor's orders.
So as a parent of a senior who's lost out on, we talked earlier, prom was supposed to be this last weekend. We're going to have graduation, not being able to probably to say that final goodbye. What's that like as a parent of a senior?
I've been watching different parents post, and, like the hurt and everything that they feel. And I was thinking, and there's just a lot of things taken away from them, and it's sad, but also at the same time, I know there's more out there for him to experience. And so this is just going to be a memory for him to say, this is what happened my senior year. This was COVID-19, kind of like how everyone knows where they were when 9/11 happened. What was he doing during COVID-19? And, he's missing out on creating some memories, before he goes to college. But I know too that there's a lot more ahead for him. So I take, the positive outlook in that, knowing that there's more out there that he's going to get to experience still.
So his basketball career is not over. Next year he'll be going to United Tribes up in Bismarck. You talked about there's a family connection there. Why don't you talk a little bit about that family connection between your family and the Bismarck and the United Tribes family?
Okay, so Pete Conway's the United Tribes coach, and so that'll be Ryan's new coach this coming fall. And I actually played basketball with his sister for a few years at tournaments, and so got to see Pete play too, and just an incredible basketball family. And whenever my dad first found out that I was playing with Pete's sister, he was like, "Do you know Pete Conway?" And I was like, "Yeah, he plays too." And my dad he's still playing? And I was like, "Wait, well, what Pete are you talking about?" And here, come to find out, my dad and Pete Sr. played together and stuff in tournaments, back in their day. So it's kind of a neat connection, and Ryan's tying it all together. So
that's great. The other reason that we had you on is not just to talk about Ryan, but you are the director of the All Native program here for Sacred Hoops. Let's go back. I would like, for people that aren't familiar with the All Native program, let's go back to the history of it a few years back, how it got set up, and where it's at, how it's developed, what the future of it looks like.
So whenever Sacred Hoops first when Alan and Sam and Jordan, everyone, Matt and Alden start talking about it, and then they're like, let's create this girls program for all Native teams. First of all, they're underrepresented in college sports. They don't often receive the opportunities that some of them are deserving of. We have stellar athletes, and so we're like, okay, let's give them the platform to get exposure. And so that first year we created the All Native Girls program, and we had the 4 high school teams, and then we had one younger team that so we had 5 teams all together. And then last year, in our second year, was like, let's expand this. Let's do more. So we brought in boys all Native teams, and I believe last year we had 12, 13 all Native teams between boys and girls teams. And then this year we were set to have 17 all Native teams between the boys and girls.
And this isn't just kids from Pine Ridge or Red Cloud. This is all over the state, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're looking. We're always looking and talking to other coaches and trying to reach out to players across the state. And we've had players from other states play as well. And so it's not just, oh, you have to go to Pine Ridge or be at Red Cloud to get on that team. We have kids as far as Sisseton. We have some kids last year who came down from Hardin, Montana. And so this year we're actually going to have some kids that were coming over from Wyoming as well. And so, basically all of South Dakota and some surrounding states were representing different tribes. So
one of the great things I feel about this through Sacred Hoops and the girls programs, those 4 high school girls programs, those are fully funded programs. Those girls aren't paying for anything for them to get that opportunity to play. How important is that for those 40 girls?
So for those girls, that first year we did where it was the fully funded, and we still do where we're doing the fundraising and everything. And their fee is actually a minimum $150. That way we have the player buy-in of commitment. Where in the first year we had players bouncing here and there, and picking some of the local, like all Native or the high school kind of res travel tournaments and stuff. And so after that first year, then we really got a lot more buy-in from players and commitment. And also once our players started signing at colleges and the younger players seeing the impact that has had has really, really helped. And, it's amazing the amount of what they actually pay to what they're getting is, hands down, it's worth it. It's a great opportunity for any player that is selected for those teams. And it's just a great opportunity to bring them all together.
And most of those girls, as you said, when this started, Sacred Hoops looked at the 2 areas that were least represented, I should say, and that was girls and specifically Native girls. So how important is it for the Native girls to have a program like Sacred Hoops for them to be able to get that basketball outlet?
Oh, I think it's super important, hands down. As a former college athlete, the opportunities that they have now from opposed to whenever I was playing, 20 years ago, there's so much more opportunities. There's so many more experiences that they're getting with the Sacred Hoops program that, I couldn't even imagine that whenever I was playing high school ball. And now that these kids are getting it, and my daughter's in one of the younger teams, and knowing like she'll come up through this program and have way more opportunities than even Ryan has, as being one of the older players in the program. My daughter's growing up through the program. And so being able to see all of the different players that they play against, the different coaches that we're bringing to them for workouts, and the different places that we travel for tournaments, it's just altogether, it's a great experience all around. I don't see anything that isn't great about it.
So let's you talked about the scholarship opportunities. Let's talk about that first group of 17 U's that you had 2 years ago. 9 of those girls went on for a college education and played either basketball or volleyball. Do you think those girls will have had the opportunity without something like Sacred Hoops?
Um, Honestly, just because of where the majority of those players were located, and we don't have restoration schools to watch our players play. And unless you make it to the state tournament, then you still don't really even turn heads, unless you know people that are going to be out there, campaigning and talking for you. And so I think that definitely them going through Sacred Hoops that initial year was huge for them. And I believe some of them are at the school they're at now because of that.
That's awesome. How often do you get to stay in touch with the girls? Now we're 2 years removed. They're sophomores, you know, or some of them are freshmen, I should say. How much contact is there between you as a coach and those former players still?
Well, I text and text with them quite a bit, and then also through social media, I get to follow what they're doing when they're posting, or I'm following the colleges that they're at, and so I get to see kind of what they're going through and experience and watch them. And if I catch something from their college or on their social media, I'm sending them a message, and just reminding them, how awesome it is that they're there. I'm proud of them. It's their hard work that got them there, and just reminding them, what they're doing, and they have a lot of young ladies looking up to them. So it's real good to be able to message back and forth with them.
You talk about them having to be a role models and looking up to them. If you talk to girls out on Pine Ridge, Red Cloud area, that's probably what they would say about you. How did you embrace that role? How do you embrace that role today as being a role model and a leader to young women?
Um, it's be kids, youth, and working with them. That's my passion, and that's always what I wanted to do. And so, being able to be someone that they see, every day at school or at the games, and being, oh, she played ball, she got her college degree, she's doing this, she's doing that, and being able to be like, I'm from here, and success. It doesn't matter where you go to school, what division you're at, as long as you're there and you're doing it and you're making it happen. And so it's really neat, and it's actually, I mean, it's super cool to be able to talk to all these kids. And with Sacred Hoops, it's kind of expanded even further, and just like all the different kids that at the tournaments, talking to them, it's so neat to get to see and talk to them and see all of the different avenues that they're at and where they're coming from. And it's super cool. I'm super blessed to be a part of it and to be able to like share my experiences with all these student athletes.
One of the things that we talk about a lot amongst ourselves here in Sacred Hoops is the relationships that have been built, not only between coaches and players, but between, well, let's just look at this relationship here. This probably doesn't happen, you and I talking to each other when we're at tournaments or at basketball games, seeing each other, or even Sam and Ryan talking together, or the friends Ryan's made here on the eastern side of the state. How important is that for this program to be so all-encompassing instead of just having an all-natives program and an East program, but being a Sacred Hoops program? Why is it so important to you?
I think it's important because it's really tying our student athletes together. They're creating those bonds as friends, but a lot of them, it's, we always say Sacred Hoops, family, and all that, and that's really what it is, because that's how our kids see it. That's how our kids feel like this is a big family. And we go to tournaments, and maybe it's all native teams will be at a tournament, and there'll be some open teams there, and they're like, oh my God, they're Sacred Hoops. And then they go over, and then they're getting to talk to the player. They didn't see him wearing a Sacred Hoops uniform. And so we're really expanding even the student athletes' friendships and experiences. And it's not even just the players, like the parents. I mean, the relationships that different parents are building with even the other players is incredible.
So we're going to end on this as we wrap up here. Yeah, it's end of April, COVID-19 going on. How do you stay positive this? How do you keep not only your kids, but your players that you're checking in on? How do we stay positive in this when, like we said, this was probably going to be the start of the season, and we're probably pushing that out at least till July, if even having one at all. What's the positive message that you have to your players and to others?
You know, the main positive thing that I think to take from this is our kids are still doing the Zoom workouts. Alan and Sam and Jordan and several other coaches are putting together some great workouts, and so I think that's amazing because it's still keeping our athletes motivated and working out, but it's also even that way there's other players who maybe aren't Sacred Hoops players that are getting on these Zoom workouts, and now our kids are interacting with each other through Zoom too and still finding ways to meet more people. And I think knowing, there's light at the end of this tunnel, whether that's June, July, just coming out of it, I think being a better person, whichever way that is. Are you going to be working on your footwork, your shooting, your ball handling? We have time. We have time to do something. Maybe you want to be better at whatever, something else, like for me, I'm doing a lot of work on Lakota language fluency building. And so there's so many different avenues that all of us can work on to be better people when we come out of this. And so that's really how I see it, is whenever this is over, I'm going to be better at something, and whatever that is, for each individual, pick that and really use that as your passion right now to keep you moving forward.
That is an excellent message, and that's the message we're going to end on tonight. I want to thank you, Amanda. We've been trying to get this going for a while. Glad we finally got this down. I cannot wait for basketball season to get going, get back in the gym. Best for you. Tell Ryan hi. Best to your family. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we will look at doing this again soon sometime.
Okay, cool. See you too. Take care and stay healthy.
Thanks, Amanda.